I'm Kyra Gaunt.
This is Kyra.
She's
Give it up for Kyra.
Yay.
Thank you. You all may be following some of my tweets from @KyraOsity. You might call it Kyra of the City. Hey, I'm very delighted to be here, and I'm going to give you a little insight into how Twitter has shaped who I am as a professor. I was a mid-adopter, but I'm going to share with you some interesting things because I actually want to demonstrate in the way in which I use these principles and tactics and strategies in my class with you all. And I'm going to use you. You're going to be a part of my little shtick. You ready? This isn't TV. I mean, there are people watching on TV, but I'm actually talking to you. Ready? Because they need to hear that you're here. You got that? This is a Twitter conference, not the Watchers Conference. I want to thank Jeff. This is my third time that I've been at a Twitter conference. I was at the London conference, and I spoke at the Brands conference in December about my students, because I think that the humanities in particular, the liberal arts, needs to humanize its technology a bit more, and I want to talk about the technology of students themselves. The students are the technology we're overlooking. So, and I want to thank Deborah Erkeling for these Campus Explorer things, because I could write my talk on them. Like Hans Gersling, he usually writes notes. I wrote my talk right before this. I've been thinking about it for weeks and changing it. So I'm going to share a little bit about tweets that I've been noticing, great talks that I have been influenced by since we've been here since yesterday, that actually tie into what I had planned on speaking about, and show you the ways in which I could use Twitter in the classroom. But I don't do it that way. I'm just using it here for an example. My talk is called Cheating Students. So I want to ask you right off the bat, and I need you to do something that most of us have not been doing for the last day and a half. When I ask for your response, I need you to stand up and say your name and give me your response. We're in an environment where we want to be heard and seen, and the people back there can't hear you if you're only talking to the teacher. And you got to be responsible as adults that you're speaking to the room, not just the person from your seat to the teacher. So when I say cheating students, what do you hear? Anyone? So stand up, say your name, and give me the response so that everybody can hear it. Collaboration, Doug Green. Cheating students, what do you hear?
Henry Pruitt not giving them what they deserve.
Henry Pruitt not giving them what they deserve. Stand up, name. Collaboration. Communication. And cultivation. Your name? Gail Davis. Cheating students. What's the first thing that comes to mind when I say cheating students? For most academics in the college level, I teach in the higher ed level, there was a study done by Pearson just in April 2011 on social media among faculty, and the two things that most concern faculty is privacy and integrity, or are students cheating on quizzes and tests, and are they plagiarizing? They have a high interest in social media, but they don't use it. They use YouTube a lot, but YouTube is like watching TV. It is not social media. The comments under the YouTube videos are social media. Or perhaps that a student in your class made it, or they know somebody who made it, might be some part of social media, but showing a video in class does not make a professor a social media expert, especially from YouTube. It's hit or miss, and mostly you don't contextualize it as anything different than what you see on TV. So I want to talk to you about cheating students. Students are not cheating. We are cheating students of their humanity. They come to get majors in all kinds of disciplines that they're not even sure apply to them, and we cheat them of their humanity. And I want to talk to you about that. So can the real-time web inspire truth-telling in the humanities, in the classroom? So I want to tell you a story about why truth-telling is so important. Last semester, I was teaching my last semester at Baruch College, and I've decided to resign from my position for a number of reasons. One has to do with this very talk. So I'm talking many days. So I've been teaching for 12 years. I've taught at NYU, I've taught at University of Virginia, And I'm sure many of you professors in the room will identify with this, what I'm going to share with you, but you don't share it, not in class. So I came in. It was a rough day, had a lot to do, wasn't fully prepared for my 9:30 racism class. Went in, did my thing. It was only after class that I realized that I had been talking to them about the wrong day in the schedule. And I came back the next class and said, you know what? Last class I lied to you. I pretended that I knew where we were, and I didn't know where we were at all. I was on the wrong day in the schedule, and I want to apologize to you for doing that, and I promise that I will never do that again. There was silence. And I said, was this a good thing? There was still silence. I said, so listen, I know what I gave you and what I just shared with you, but I don't know what you got. Should I have not shared that? Because now I'm thinking I've lost my authority, which is what a big concern of ours is in the classroom. And students are like, no, God, no professor says that. No one's ever said that. That was amazing. Yeah, it was good information. And all of a sudden, we have an environment where we can tell the truth. Now, why does this matter in the humanities? Because the mission at Baruch College in the liberal arts is that we're creating great students who are great human beings, great citizens, and they say future professionals, which I don't agree with. I want my students to be practicing what it means to be a great human being. And in order to be a great citizen, you've got to know how to talk truth to power. And the power and the place to practice that power is in college, with the professor who represents authority. And if they don't learn how to deal with a professor who, I could give you all kinds of stories. I have students who come to me because they're willing to tell me the truth. And some people will say, oh, they're coming to you complaining about stuff. But their complaints are pointing in the direction of a commitment they are not getting fulfilled. And I know we don't listen to students who are adults this way, mostly because we listen to students like they're kids. I know my colleagues for the past 12 years go, yeah, well, this is what my kids did this week, and this is what my kids did this week, like they're children. Instead of, my students work full-time to part-time. 50% of my students are first-generation immigrants. I teach at a public university, but they are working overtime, some 2 jobs. They're married, they have children. These are not kids. NYU has an adult education program, and on the subway when I'm riding it often, I see their ad, and it says, like, college for the real adults. I'm like, well, what is the other college for? So right there, we've got this whole environment in which we're lying. We tell ourselves lies that we're teaching adults. We don't relate to them that way, and we do not listen to them that way. So I'm going to switch gears for a second. Oh, good, 7 minutes. There are 18 million currently enrolled students in the United States. That's at 6,500 institutions around the United States, and 44% are dropouts. It's easy to say 44% because we don't want to be with the real number, which is 7.9 million people, that professors in individual classes must be bailing out on in some way because we're not accountable for each and every student in the classroom. Now, my experience on Twitter has been that I can be responsible for each and every stranger that I meet. I might pick and choose, but I have a group of people that I engage with. Chris Lehman and I have been engaging for about 1.5 years because I know one of his former students through Twitter. And when I walked up to him for the first time, I've never met him before, he was like, I can't wait to meet you. There's something about that we don't translate into the classroom that I'm trying to engage so that we can inspire an environment for truth-telling so that these young people, young adults, can be great citizens, fully participating. Not like you're doing, mostly you've been doing while you've been here at this conference, sitting and listening, and then at the end of someone else talking, there's a Q&A and you only ask questions and there's no engagement. There was a really great example that just happened earlier. A woman was here, I don't know if you're still here. You said you didn't know how to use Twitter and you asked a question about it. Are you still here? She isn't. There's probably no coincidence that she's not still here because she asked about it, but nobody gave her the answer that she really needed. There's a great blog by Deanna Zant. She's at Random Deanna on Twitter. The Non-Fanatical Guide to Twitter. The Beginner's Non-Fanatical Guide to Twitter. If somebody up here had just said, among all the Twitter people in the audience, does anybody have a blog she could go to so she can learn about Twitter? This is what we're not doing in our classrooms. So when I say the technology is the students, not the books, not the iPod, I don't even have to use Twitter. I can emulate Twitter in the classroom. I can have people chat, pair share with each other, and then share out. I taught a Twitter workshop for the Manhattan Borough President's Office with, ironically, really, no kidding, 140 people. It was a coincidence. Later they told me it was like 140 people. And we never got to the laptops for me to teach them about Twitter because I taught them as an anthropologist the culture of Twitter, which is that it's a sharer's market. We're not selling ourselves, and you don't have to hide if you don't have anything to sell. You can be an expert when you come on at the beginning, but the key is that you listen, and you're listening for things that matter to you. So in a classroom at Baruch, I have 30 students to 95 students in a classroom, and I need them to know where they came from. So I would do something like, how many people are here in the house are from New York City? Can you woot woot? How many of you from Brooklyn? How many from, Queens? How many are from outside of New York City? Just from that, you get a sense. You've listened to what's in the room. And all of us who participate in Twitter have that experience when we delve into the timeline every day. Why can't you bring that experience into your classroom without the technology? You don't have to have people learn Twitter, but you sure can give them the experience of being in a community of strangers where they expand their network, expand who they are in the world, and really alter the reality of what it means to be a student as adult in the classroom, so that they're empowered to go be experts in their next class, and in their next class, and in what they choose to do. So when I said to you that there were 7.9 million dropouts in the United States, you know what that's the size of? What country? Anybody have a guess? France? That's close. It begins with F. Facebook. Facebook has currently 8 million active users. So you wonder why Facebook is so popular among college students. 7.9 million dropouts are much more interested in Facebook because they never get to engage with each other. They never get to find out who's next to them. And they're probably going to be sitting next to somebody they'll meet later in life. They may be looking for an entrepreneur or somebody to invest in, and they're sitting next to the person whose father owns that company. But they never met them. So why aren't we just doing correspondence courses? Why are we having people come to college if we're not going to have them engage in the diversity that's in the room? So, I have to make, when I bring up diversity, I have to make a comment that I've been running through my head. You are looking at the first black presenter at the Twitter Educational Conference. No. That's not why I said it. Some of you have noticed and you haven't told the truth about it. You have the ability to tweet out about it, but nobody said much about the representation of people up here. I'm not talking about, there were teachers, there were students and parents, but the people who really are the movers and shakers in higher ed are not teachers and students, students and parents. They're teachers and administrators. And we expect higher education to change because of curriculum change by those very people. But if we only have white people up here having a conversation about what goes on in higher ed, we're going to continue with 18 million people to replicate the structural inequities that we see all around us, even on the stage at a Twitter Educational Conference. And we're supposed to be enlightened. We know. We're the smart ones. We understand diversity. But we're not practicing what we preach here. Why would the students do anything different? It's cool to hang out with friends who are diverse when you have no power. But if you've got to go on Wall Street, very well-educated people, and do what Wall Street has done to us, and not be able to tell the truth about it, then we're the ones, the professors, we're the sellouts. And it's time for us to start telling ourselves the truth about that. And I just want to end with, I'm out to find my other tribes people. I'm going to be having a call for college students, and we're going to be talking about that. And I'd also love to join Ed Chat for us to have a conversation about all the things that I talked about, but particularly about representation of diversity of ideas, which comes with the representation of diversity of people. And I thank you.
I'd like to bring a question for. We have a question request. Come back out here. One question, quick, before we. Who had the question?
Name, stand. You got a name and stand and make sure everybody can hear you. Where are you? In the back. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I still don't see you because I thought you were the woman in the back. Oh, there. Okay. Thank you. That's a great question. Yes, the question was, how did I come to get up here? I came to a Hurricane and I was like, I want to talk to one of these because I was inspired by Melissa Pierce, who spoke at the first one. And I don't care how you use me. I have taught hundreds of students. Sheepishly went up to Jeff and told him, I have an idea about racism that I think you should hear. And he made the space for it. He said, if you want to speak at London, come talk to me. So I took the liberty, and it took a lot of courage because this was not, I'm an academic. Twitter is not my thing. That was 2009. I wasn't, and he gave me a chance. So, I mean, it's not because I was black he gave me a chance. I had a good idea. Right. So, I mean, that has nothing to do with what I was trying to point out. Those are two separate things. But I appreciate the comment because any one of us, like on Twitter, can become an expert. You just got to talk to people.
Thank you.
Thank you.